morning, everyone, and good morning, François. We are from Salesforce Marketer Group, Melbourne, and we are here with Sydney Marketer Group as well. Today's agenda would be a quick wrap up on Connections 2025 from the person who really attended it. And because he has to leave after this one, we will just start with that, and then François will take care of the actual agenda of this one, which is essential skills required or why data cloud is becoming more important in the current marketing trends. The stage is yours, Robert. Thanks.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Hello, everybody. Robert Lopez here. I'm on the committee here for the Sydney guys, and I was fortunate enough to be at Connections last week, and it was a lot of fun. Let's start with that. François would agree. So I'm going to just give you a very, very top line view, just some key dot points to take away for those who couldn't make it, because there was quite a lot of information, and yes, it was very Agentforce and AI focused. But I guess the main takeaway for me, and probably for most people there, was this concept of Marketing Cloud Next. Yes, they're excellent at rebranding things, Salesforce, and they have done it again. We have Marketing Cloud Next, and really it is just the umbrella that collates all of their offerings, including their agentic offerings. So it brings in Exact Target, Pardot, Datarama, Evergage, all built on Data Cloud, of course, and it then brings in this whole new Agentforce array of offerings. So they've got Agentforce campaign creation, Agentforce personalization decisioning, Agentforce lead management, Agentforce segment intelligence, all of those are readily available. And then there's Agentforce web curation, which they're talking around circa October this year availability. One thing that was spoken about, and I guess helped sum things up, was that there was three key areas that they talk about Marketing Cloud Next, I guess being the new frontier for them. And they spoke about combining, rebuilding, and simplifying. So from a combining perspective, we all know that Salesforce are excellent in the CRM space and even better at the acquisition space. They've acquired a lot of platforms over the years. So this sort of Marketing Cloud Next frontier looks at combining 9 of their best in breed acquisitions into the one umbrella platform. From a rebuilding perspective, building it on top of Data Cloud, which we've spoken about as core platform. Now we've got Marketing Cloud on core. They've really looked at bringing their personalization engine now onto Data Cloud, meaning one shared service for all Salesforce platform products in the one space, and then simplifying, which we all like a bit of simplification. So bringing in both B2B and B2C models into this Marketing Cloud Next environment to really, I guess they talk about reducing TCO or total cost of ownership by minimizing the integrations within their marketing stack. And what I like personally, and one pet peeve of mine as a Salesforce customer, has been disparate data. So my Marketing Cloud team versus my Service Cloud team, they might be thinking that they're looking at the same data, but there's disparity between them sometimes. Whereas with Marketing Cloud Next, they're all in the same environment, they're all looking at the same data, so there's a lot more consistency and there's a lot more integrity in the data they're looking at. I will just touch on the Marketing Cloud keynote customer focus story because I thought it was a really cool one. They spotlighted the Indiana Fever basketball team, and the key story there that was told was around how sport and the way that marketing works in the sporting landscape has changed astronomically. The way fans engage has changed. Indiana Fever have got a true global fan base. So, the old school offering of a season ticket, the same seat at every game isn't relevant for a fan in Australia or in Europe. So they really had to change their model, and they've used Marketing Cloud and in particular, AI to change the way they communicate with their fan base globally, and to really increase relevance across the right channels, the right time to the right customers with the right messaging. And their story was a really good one. So I recommend, if anything at all, jump onto the Salesforce Plus, because there's a lot of on-demand sessions, but the Marketing Cloud keynote is on demand. And I really, really recommend that you jump on and watch that one, because it was an awesome, awesome hour. And there was a lot of good takeaways around this Marketing Cloud Next piece. I loved it. It was a fantastic week. I didn't drink too much, so I remember most of it. It's fantastic. There was a community hub this year, which they're looking at continuing, an area for us all to be able to connect, unwind, and collaborate together. And overall, I would give this one a 9 out of 10, because it was memorable. And this Marketing Cloud Next piece, I think, is the real game changer. I know there's a game changer every year, but for me, this is a real game changer, because finally everything is on core, everything's in one place. And as a marketer at heart, that makes me happy. I will pass back over to Lakshmi. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Robert. And now I will give a proper introduction to François. He's 31 times certified. I was amazed to see his LinkedIn profile. And he has his own marketing agency providing the marketing solutions. And he's a bit popular with the Marketing Cloud on Core sessions with Jyotsna Vitra. And I wish I could have attended them, but let me learn what he's going to share now. Stage is yours, François. Thanks.
Yeah, you should see my screen right now, and you should hear me. Is that okay?
Yes, both are fine.
Great. So today we're going to speak about essential data cloud concept required for Marketing Cloud on Core. You will notice throughout the presentation that I am using the name Marketing Cloud on Core, which I should not anymore. Do you still hear me? Steve apparently has okay, so it may be on Steve's side. I'm referring to Marketing Cloud on Core, which is a name which should not use anymore, because this was an internal name. This was a Salesforce internal name, and it basically refers to something built on Data Cloud and the whole Salesforce platform. And as Robert has made an excellent intro of what was announced at Connection and at the different keynotes, what needs to be understood is that we have Marketing Cloud Growth and Advance, which is a new platform, which is based on Data Cloud. And you have a kind of suite, a kind of umbrella term, which is called Marketing Cloud Next, which refers to Marketing Cloud Growth and Advance and Data Cloud and Agentforce and loyalty, personalization, and intelligence. So this is very important to understand that Marketing Cloud Next is not a product by itself. It's a catalog name for a set of products. You and you'll find into that catalog, you will find Marketing Cloud Growth and Advance, which was what I used to call Marketing Cloud on Core, and which I should not refer to anymore. So that being said, let's jump to the next slide. Today, we have the chance to have Melbourne marketing groups and Sydney groups. So in Melbourne marketer groups, maybe you know your leaders, Tammy, Andy, and I guess they are looking for a third one, or maybe it had already been found, I don't know. In the Sydney group, we'll find Robert, well, Kevana, and Anupriya. And personally, I am the co-leader of a French group in Aix-en-Provence, south of France, and I have several other distinctions. I'm a Trailblazer Forum Ambassador, Marketing Champion. I have some certification, as you may see on the slide. And today we are going to make a focus on Data Cloud. First, we'll see what is Data Cloud, and then I will give you some feedbacks from the trenches, some gotchas and some tips of actual implementations. of actual implementations. And I hope this agenda is okay for you, because anyway, I don't have any other agenda. So let's go for this. You may have heard of different names of different marketing automation platforms in the past. You have Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, which is also referred to as Pardot. You have Marketing Cloud Engagement, which used to be Exact Target, and you now have Marketing Cloud Growth and Advance, which is a new platform which comes in two flavors, Growth and Advance, which again, I should not call Marketing Cloud on Core, but I did not change it throughout the presentation. But let's just refer to Marketing Cloud Growth and Advance, or for short, Marketing Cloud, which is the new platform which relies entirely on cloud, on data cloud, and which is part of the Marketing Cloud Next suite, which also embeds loyalty, intelligence, and the legacy platforms. Legacy platforms are Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, Pardot, and Marketing Cloud Engagement, Exact Target. In those two platforms, Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, Pardot, you will find the concept of prospects, which may reside only in Pardot or may be synchronized with leads or contacts. And you have lists, which is basically a group of prospects. In Marketing Cloud Engagement, you will find contacts and you will find data extensions to store your information. Data extensions can store personal information, contact information, but they can store anything else. They are basically objects in Salesforce or table in SQL. And in Marketing Cloud on Core, in Marketing Cloud, you have Data Cloud, and in Data Cloud, you will find what marketers will deal with, which is called a unified individual. We'll see what that is, how they are generated. And you will find segments, which is a group of unified individual that you want to target. For instance, you want to inject them inside a flow and then send an email, or do what you used to do with Journey Builder in Exact Target, or with Engagement Studio in Pardot. So what is a unified individual and what was the challenge? This is often presented that way by Salesforce when they are referring to unified individual. You may have in your Salesforce platform or in other systems a lot of individual, for instance, in your e-commerce site, on your newsletter, for instance, on your website, and you have your leads and you have your contacts inside Salesforce. Sometimes that person, the same person, exists in different systems. And what a unified individual is the gathering of all those profiles into what is called a unified individual. This is different from the concept of golden record, because a golden record is one record created out of distinct records, and you don't have access to the composing individuals. Here, you still have access to the composing individuals. So the challenge is to have distinct records, so at different places, and Data Cloud wants to unify them into what is called a unified individual. And again, this is what marketers deal with when they want, for instance, to use a segment inside Pardot, because there are bridges between account engagement and Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced, or when you want to create a segment triggered flow, for instance, which is the way you orchestrate an experience for your unified individuals. So first, in Data Cloud, you need to understand the concept of data streams and data lake objects, which are very close. The data stream and the data lake object could be used to designate the same reality. Basically, a data stream is the way to inject information from another system into Data Cloud. When I say another system, that includes information from the Salesforce platform. So using data streams, you can ingest all your leads, all the leads you have in Salesforce, all the contacts, all the landing page visitors, which are anonymous visitors, but who are profiles. And so doing this, you can ingest inside Data Cloud all this information that comes from distinct systems. So to summarize this, here is a quick diagram. You have in the CRM, you have your leads, you have a contacts, you may have external profile in other system, and the ingestion process is automatic and is what creates records inside data stream object or data lake object. Again, those are two close concepts. And so you in Data Cloud, you have everything, which is the mirror of what you have in other system, but it is concentrated in one place. Then all this data is there, and now we will have access to the customer 360 model. You may have heard this this name in the past. I also heard it, but here it has Data Cloud gives a real thorough sense to this, because in Data Cloud you have what is called a data model object. So on one side you're ingesting your data profile and will see any type of data inside Data Cloud, and then you have data model object, and these data model objects are normalized objects. For instance, as a standard data model object, you will find the individual data model object. The individual is basically a person. So you will find a first name, a last name, and whatever describes an individual. And what you need to understand there is that in one system on the data stream or lake object, you may find first name written with a F, capital F and a capital N, and in another with an underscore between first and name. Here, in the individual, unified in the individual DMO, you will have access to one first name, and everything will be mapped to it. So wherever the data, if the data comes from an e-commerce website, your WordPress site, or directly from Salesforce, everything is mapped to the individual, and every first name is just a first name. So this is called harmonizing, and Data Cloud does this. We'll see this in a minute. So there are a lot of predefined models for every business use case. Let's say we talk about the individual DMO. And you have a mapping, which is simply a way of saying, well, let's take my lead data stream, which is the mirror of the lead I have in Salesforce. I will map it to the individual so that whenever a lead comes in Data Cloud as a record in the data stream object, it also comes as a record in the individual object. And so you end up with this mapping. So don't be afraid. This is actually very simple. On the left, you have the data stream object. On the right, you have the data model object, and you can very easily draw lines between each of them. And so this is the way, for instance, lead, contact are related to individual. And so a lead or a contact is created as an individual inside the DMO. And so this is why it is standardized. So to summarize where we are now, we have leads, contacts, external profiles, which are all in the CRM and external systems. They are all ingested into Data Cloud under the form of data stream or data lake object. And the harmonization process, which is automatic inside Data Cloud, just creates individual records out of them. And so you have every individual, that is every person, which is described under the same semantic, under the same field, and stored in a central place, which is the individual DMO. Basically very important, this schema that I've just described can be found for any type of data. You ingest them into DSO, DLO, and you map them to DMO, and this is what you actually use. So specifically for the individual DMO, there is a process which is called identity resolution. And this identity resolution will take individuals and will transform those individuals into unified individual. For this, you have two types of features. You have the match rules, which is what says whether two individuals are identical or not. And you can create very complex rules or very simple rule. The simplest one is just they have the same email address, but you can also say they have the exact same last name and the first name fuzzy matching, and either the same email address or the same phone number, for instance. So this is entirely up to you. You define what identical means, and this is entirely dependent on your data, on your systems, and on how your individual are ingested inside Data Cloud. And once you have match rules, you have reconciliation rules, because, for instance, in one system, you may have two individuals, in two systems, you may have two individuals with a slightly different first name, but who are actually identical from the match rule point of view. And so you need to decide which one will you use when you will refer, for instance, as a merge field inside your email. What first name will you display? Will it be the one of the lead, the one of the contact, the most recent, and so on? So individuals are ingested. They are created as records in the individual DMO, and then regularly, it's once a day by default, regularly, unified individuals are created by gathering using match rule same individuals, and the reconciliation rules will give you the resulting unified individual that you will be able to use. So here we see a very simple match rule. Here it just states that you need to have the fuzzy name and the normalized email, or you need to have the fuzzy name match and the normalized phone that match. And then whenever this is true, two individuals in that situation will be declared the same individual. Of course, you can have two individuals or 7 individuals or 1,000 of individuals, depending on the data quality. And so this is how we answer to the question, how are two individuals declared identical? And then you have the reconciliation rule. For instance, here you have the birthday date, and you will see that by default, this is the last updated value, which is taken. That is, if distinct identical individual have distinct birthday, well, this is the latest birthday date that will be taken as a reference into the unified individual. So what is a unified individual? I hope it starts to be clear now. It is a set of one or more individuals, and they are presented as one record. Again, they're just presented as one record, but thanks to what is called link, which are bridges, very similar to junction objects or lookups in Salesforce, you still have access to the underlying individuals. But here you have the leads, contacts, and whatever external profiles ingested in DSO, harmonized into individuals. And then the match rule separates this individual into identical individual, and the reconciliation process creates the unified individual and determines which is the value that will be taken as a reference, for instance, for the first name and so on. Okay, and so I was talking about the unified link individual. This is to explain the difference between golden records and unified individual. In unified individual, you still have access to the aggregated individual, and you can loop over them and can do whatever you want. So this is very flexible. I hope that makes sense for individual, because the exact same schema can also be found everywhere else. That is, Data Cloud proposes a complete data model. You have distinct DMO types. For instance, we've seen the individual DMO, which is a profile DMO, but you may also find engagement DMOs, in which you will store, for instance, your link clicks, your website visits, and so on. And DMOs themselves can be related using relationships. For instance, if you watch, it might be very small on your screen because it's already small in my screen, but if you watch the individual and the unified individual, which is just there, you may find that the unified individual is actually in a one-to-n relationship with the individual. It simply means a unified individual is a set of individuals. And you have the same thing here. For instance, you may see that an individual may have distinct contact point email. That is, in Data Cloud, you can have an individual having more than one email address, and that information will flow into the unified individual. You will have access to all the email address of all the composing individuals. So you can have one-to-one and end-to-one relationships. And for instance, here, as an example, an individual may have several web engagement records. So this is why we have a relationship of one N between individual and web engagement. So this is just to tell you that Data Cloud is a complete storage engine which takes the data, ingests the data, harmonizes the data, and creates unified individual out of it, and every relationship between these different objects. This is very similar to what you may find in a schema builder inside Salesforce, if you know the tool, but this is much more powerful because you have access to all your data here, and you can extend that model. So Data Cloud is the data foundation of Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced, and more generally of Marketing Cloud Next. Because Agentforce, Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced, all will take their information inside Data Cloud and the same information. So this is why service, sales, and marketing have access to a unified view of the data, and Data Cloud is really the foundation of Agentforce and data storage, a unified version of your data. So here are some marketing common DMOs, because so far we've been talking of general overall concepts of marketing of Data Cloud. Here we will make now a focus on Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced and what's important inside Data Cloud. So you will find the engagement DMO types. We already talked about them. You have link clicks, you have opens, you have form submission, you have page views. All this is inside a DMO. That is, you can have views from an external website, from your landing pages, which are built into the Experience Cloud inside Salesforce. If you use standard Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced landing pages, but this can also be views or for submission from whatever that come from. It's all normalized inside an engagement DMO, which you can then use to do whatever you want. You have the consent management, which is inside Data Cloud as well. Basically, you have subscription. This is a subscription model. You may have one subscription for your newsletter, one subscription for your product launch, and so on. And then you for each subscription, a given email address or a given phone number may be opt-in or opt-out. So everything as it pertains to consent is stored inside Consents DMO. You have contact points. This is the physical address. This is the phone number. This is the email address. This is where you can send your individual into channels to communicate with them, and you can create your own. For instance, I often refer to an example of a boat reservation of a boat company which rents boats. Then that company may have inside Salesforce a reservation object, which may also be ingested inside Data Cloud and have a relationship, for instance, with individuals so that you can use them inside Data Cloud. So you can extend that model, and this is very easy actually to do it. You can very easily create a new data stream, create a new data model object out of that data stream, and then relate that data model object to other objects, for instance, individual, unified individual, or whatever you want. So very flexible, and again, the foundation of Agentforce and data quality, so that every cloud is on the same page and has access to quality data. So Data Cloud is the marketer's data foundation, and not just only the marketer's data foundation. It's all Salesforce user data foundation and unified individual for marketers have a specific and central role, because again, this is what we shall see right now. Unified individual is what you use to communicate to your audiences. So Data Cloud is Marketing Cloud on Core, or Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced Data Foundation, and Marketing Cloud Next Data Foundation. I hope those terms are starting to make sense right now. And you can, inside Data Cloud, you can store your data. For instance, we've already seen the profile data, leads, contact, the engagement data, the activity data, leads, our opening emails, and so on. And all this is ingested automatically in Marketing Cloud, in Data Cloud. And you have data kits, which is a kind of packages, which is a very simple way to install this. And when you are actually going through the steps of the setup of Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced, you are installing data kits, which installs the links between your leads, your contacts, your different information from Salesforce, which automatically will get ingested inside Data Cloud. One thing which is very important is that you will be able to augment that data, because in Data Cloud, for instance, you have the concept of calculated insight. Let's think, to illustrate this, to a customer satisfaction, for instance. You have different pieces of information related to the customer satisfaction. You may have asked them directly, for instance, inside an email, whether they are satisfied or not. You may have feedbacks they gave you from a form. All these can be gathered into a single measure, a single metric, which is called a calculated insight. To be clearer, the score, for instance, the marketing score is a calculated insight, and you can create your own or use existing calculated insights. And those calculated insights are then available as the DMO fields inside the segmentation process, so that you can say, for instance, I want to create a segment of unified individual of every unified individual having an engagement score which is higher than, for instance, 100. So you can not only store the data, but you can also augment that data by calculating information related to that data. You have the segment. We've already used that term. This is basically a list of unified individual. And so all the unified individual can be gathered together into your own segments, which are dynamic and reevaluated frequently. And of course, all this data you have in Data Cloud is available in Sales Cloud and Service Cloud on leads, contacts, and accounts layouts. If you like, you can display the activity, which will display for, let's say you on the lead, you display the activity of that lead. Actually, what will be displayed is the activity of the unified individual. So if that specific lead is included in a unified individual where you will find other contacts, for instance, all the activity from the lead and the other contacts will be displayed. So this is why it is called unified, because it is actually a unified view of a person, and that person may have several records gathered together by the identity resolution. And so you can view and access this data directly from where you are used to see them in leads and contacts and so on. So to make a quick recap of what we have so far, Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced Data Foundation is Data Cloud. So you have elements that are stored in Data Cloud. This is the right part of the slide. You have the individual, we've seen that. You have the unified individual. You have the engagements. You have the augmented value, the score, and so on. You have the segments, and you have the consent. All this is inside Data Cloud, and quite frankly, very easy to use. Okay, it's another tool. It's another space where the data is stored, but it is inside the Salesforce platform. It is in the same experience as it pertains to user interface, so very easy to use. And Marketing Cloud Growth and Advance also has information stored in Salesforce, the lead, the contacts, which are the one who transfers to individual in Data Cloud. You have the forms, which is stored in the CMS, and the landing pages and so on. You have all Data Cloud data that you can surface, the fields, the related lists, the data graph, which see what a data graph is, which is quite an important concept inside the Data Cloud, because it is an interface between Data Cloud and, for instance, the email builder. You have the flows, of course, because you may know, or if not, this is something really important. What used to be called Journey Builder in Marketing Cloud Engagement, or Engagement Studio in Marketing Cloud Account Engagement in Pardot, is now made out of standard flows, marketing flows, but the exact same builder as what admin used to be able to develop to make specific experience. Here, marketers have access to marketing flows. We are not going to make a focus on this, but this is very important as well as Data Cloud to understand what you may find inside flows to send emails and so on. And of course, you have the assets, the messages themselves, which are stored inside the CMS, inside digital experiences. You will find the email, the SMS, the WhatsApp messages, the brand, and so on. So Data Cloud, as it pertains to storing your data, you have your profile data, which is stored in DSO, DLO, which is harmonized in DMO, and unified individual are built thanks to the identity resolution. You have your engagement data, which is stored in the form of DMOs, your email clicks, and so on. Other data like consent, service data, or whatever data you want to ingest inside Data Cloud. And all these data can be viewed in Data Cloud because you have access to what is called Data Explorer, which gives you access to your DSO, your DLO, and so on. So to store your data, here we are seeing Data Explorer, and we are watching a data lake object. Here, the lead home object, which is the lead object, where you have all your leads and you have access to all the information. And again, the process of synchronizing Data Cloud from changes made into Salesforce is automated. You don't have to do anything for this once it's correctly set up. You can augment your data. For instance, you can create your own data streams and data model object. We've already talked about this. And you can also add your own fields. You can also create calculated insights, which are, for instance, what is used to create scores. And you have the data graph, which is a set of data that you build, and then this, and which is related to unified individual. And then this data graph is then used inside the email, is made available, for instance, inside your email builder or inside your flows. From your flows, you can take decision out of this, and from your email builder, you may personalize your email. This is where you will gain access to your merge field and whatever information you've put into the data graph. So the data graph is a bag of data which is made available for marketers from Data Cloud to the flows and to the email builder. So augmenting your data, here we are seeing the overall marketing score, which is a calculated inside, and here you will find the fit score, the engagement score. All this information is available for segmentation and is computed, is updated regularly, so you have access to all this information. Here you have access to what a data graph is. A data graph basically is a set of information. When you build your data graph, you simply add the DMOs you want to embed inside the data graph and the fields which needs to be selected and which will be made available in your email builder, in your SMS builder, or for instance, in your flow builder. To take decisions, for instance, you may say inside your flow, okay, I have unified individual in the flow. At that step, I want to create two paths one for unified individual having a score higher than 100, and another path for the one having a score less than 100. And then you will be able to create two experiences depending on that type of information. This is what data graph is used, and it's a very important concept inside Data Cloud, because this is the way you access Data Cloud values from your builders. We've talked about the segmentation. You can create groups of unified individual in what is called segment builder. You can also create your criterias using an AI prompt, but which basically generates a segment for you. And it is also available directly from the campaigns where we have access to quick filters. Okay, so here's how Marketing Cloud Growth and Advance can make segments inside Data Cloud. Here on the left, you have distinct attributes. You have the direct attributes, which are related directly to unified individual, and you have access to every information that is in the Data Cloud data model. For instance, if you have a boat reservation business and you have an object reflecting your reservation, that object can be used to select, for instance, the people who have rented a boat last week and who are not, for instance, very happy about it. And then you may create a segment of them and trigger a communication to ask them for what reason they were not that happy and that did not give you a good rating. You may ask them, you may give them a coupon, for instance, to give them a second chance to test your products and services. So you can do quite everything you want, provided that you have all the information available inside Data Cloud that is created in the form of a data stream mapped to a data model object. In your email, you have access directly to the data graph. Here it's called a basic data graph. You have a default data graph, which you can define in the setup, and you have access to all the information, quite the same information that you have access to in the segment. You create your data graph, and then your data graph is available, and you can navigate to all the information you need to personalize your email, for instance, to access the first name in the unified individual or every information contained inside this data graph. For instance, you may add into the data graph all the reservation of a given user, and in the email builder, you have a new feature which has come with the summer 25 release, which is called repeaters. And then you will just ask the repeater to display in a given layout all the boats that were run by your actual user to make a recap of the year they had with you, and then communicate on that. So very powerful. And data graph is the way you access your data, your predefined data from Data Cloud inside the email builder. Here again, we are accessing the data graph object, which gives you access, and you can navigate to all the information you've stored previously. And again, this is also available inside the flows. The difference between the email builder is that in the email builder, you have access to the default data graph. In the flows, you have access to all the data graph you may declare. I think you have up to 3 data graphs. And so you can use distinct data graph there if you wish. But again, this is very common to use this in 2 decision splits, because you have unified individual coming from a segment in a segment triggered flow, for instance, and then from Data Cloud, you get information you have stored in the data graph to say where I want to go right or I want to go left, depending on the condition, or create more than 2 paths, because the decision path can create more than 2 paths there. You may have access to this data directly from the Salesforce layout on the prospect, which is a new object, which is, let's say, more on the bottom of the funnel than the lead and the contacts. But on the prospect, the lead and contacts, Data Cloud gives you the ability to display some information, all your calculated insights. Some are out of the box, like scores we've already talked about, but you can create your own. some activities, the email, the SMS, the WhatsApp, the landing page, which comes from the engagement DMOs, the web engagement DMO and the email engagement DMO, which again gathers information from everywhere inside a unified view. And this can be displayed at the lead or the contact level. You have the consent, which gives you not only the possibility to display the consent, the opt-in or opt-outs for each of your subscription and channels, but also gives you the opportunity to change this, to opt out manually or opt-in manually for a given subscription, a given email address or phone number. And then you have the fields that you can that can be copied from Data Cloud and that can be displayed. For instance, you may be able to display the unified individual ID of a lead or a contact directly on the lead and contact layout. So this is what basically it looks like. Here you have a lead, and I created a tab on the layout, and in that tab you have first the engagement activity where you see what happens into emails, landing pages, and so on. You have the calculated insight and you have the consent. So everything you have in Data Cloud is surfaced and can be surfaced into basic standard layouts inside Salesforce. Just a word before we jump into the gotchas and tips that I want to share with you regarding Data Cloud. Data Cloud is a consumption-based model. When you are provisioning Marketing Cloud Growth or Marketing Cloud Advanced, you have some credits, for instance, a given number of email sending, a given number for AI prompts run, and so on. So we are not going to deep dive into the credits because this is something which can be very complex. Well, it's not that complex, but I mean, this is not the point today of going into these types of detail. Just know that whatever you do inside Data Cloud, the ingestion, the building of calculated insights, the identity resolution process running, all this will take a part of credits. And when you buy the product, you can buy standalone Data Cloud credits, or you can buy packages of credits whenever you're provisioning Marketing Cloud Growth or Advanced, which have distinct number of credits available. And all this is made available to you so that you know where you stand from a consumption point of view, which in what is called digital wallet or consumption cards, you have the conversation, the data service credits, and so on. There is the notion of credits consumed per millions of rows processed. Again, we're not going into too much detail here. This is done out of the box. That computation is done out of the box. Just know that whenever something happens in Data Cloud, it consumes credits. So some gotchas from real life implementation. You may think that as Data Cloud relies on credits, you may not want to ingest all your data, but some part of your data that you will be able to use. Well, because you can create filters on your data streams, for instance, you must know that these filters will not prevent all the data to be ingested, but only the filtered data will be made available in your segments in the identity resolution. So if you have a huge database, even if you add filters, all that database will be ingested. This is generally not a big deal because the ingestion is not what consumes the most of the credits. It is the identity resolution, which is very which whenever runs takes a lot of credit, well, lots of credits, not that much, but more credits than ingesting. So this is something you need to be aware of. You can create in your data stream object what is called formula fields, very similar to what you have inside Salesforce. They are not retroactive. That means that it's a good thing to create your formula fields whenever you are in the process of setting up Data Cloud, because otherwise, if you want your formula fields to be computed, you will need to have changes on the actual data to be ingested into Data Cloud. You can trigger this by a mass update, but anyway, I recommend that you design your whole formula from the start, and so you won't have to later on make changes in a whole so that this information is actually computed. And this is something which is very generic inside Data Cloud. The more you anticipate the changes, the happier you are. Because sometimes it may be tricky to change things after on. So the design phase inside Data Cloud, or to set up a Data Cloud project, is really important. So create your formula fields the more early you can in the process. Sometimes you are creating new objects in Salesforce and then new DSO or new fields on your object, and you don't see it. Most of the time, this is because in the permission set related to Data Cloud, the Data Cloud connector, you need to give explicit access to the object or to the field. So this is if you create a new field in Salesforce and want to use it in your DSO, which already exists, and you don't see the field from Data Cloud, this is probably the issue. And again, early design is also true for identity resolution, because if you change the identity resolution, then it will have to run on the entire database. When you create one identity resolution from day to day, you just have the changes, the delta, which consumes credits. If you change the whole thing and a whole refresh is needed, then you will need to rebuild the entire unified individual set. And so it's best to early think and early design your identity resolution. Again, something very generic. Everything you do in Data Cloud should be thought early in the design process. The same is true for Data Graph Edition, because you can only add item and not remove items. Something you may have heard, which is true, you can try to have person account work inside Data Cloud, and industry clouds very often rely on person account. Unfortunately, this is not out of the box. That is, there is no data kit to make the mappings for you, the correct mappings. There is no consent. The consent is not working out of the box, and so person account can be tricky to use inside Data Cloud. The container path is, and this is something which you may discover by your own. As you have a complete data model with objects related to them, you may have distinct ways to access one object from one other object. This is called the container path, and depending on the path you take, you may have distinct results in your segmentation. So if you're in the situation where you make a segment, and you don't have any result, for instance, most of the time this is because of the container path. And also, some process take time. The identity resolution runs once a day. The segment can be refreshed every 12 hours for standard segments. For some segments which needs to be used in Marketing Cloud engagement, I think it's 2 hours. But anyway, some process run regularly and are not real time. And some tips, you can segment on your subscriber, even though it's not out of the box. For instance, you create distinct subscriptions and you want the list of prospects who are of unified individual who are actually subscribed for a given subscription. You just need to add a relationship between the communication, subscription, consent, and the contact point DMO, which is very simple to do. It just consists of adding relationship into Data Cloud. You can create consent record inside segment triggered flows. That is segments that run whenever a user joins a segment. Personalize the preference center, use exclusion criteria. This is very true for every segmentation in every tool. You can explicitly make the criteria of which unified individual needs to be in the segment, but you can also define the opposite, which unified individual should not be in the segment. And sometimes it is much more efficient to exclude than to include. You can inspect your data. For instance, your data graph is available in Data Explorer under the form of a JSON blob. By default, when you create images, you will see that you will have Salesforce images. You can replace them in the CMS. They are called default something. You just edit it and upload your own picture, your own logo. And so whenever from that you create a new email, you will have your own logo. Calculated insights are really, really, really important inside Data Cloud, because this is the way you compute metrics and measures that you will be able to use as segmentation, as decision flows, and so on. You can create and update your own DMOs. And as well, you can enrich the unified individual view to add more information to the unified individual that you may be able to access later on. And I think this is pretty much it, and you're pretty on schedule. So thank you very much. Maybe we could take one question or two in the remaining minute, or you can ask them on LinkedIn or whatever, if you wish. So I pass it over to you, Lakshmi, if you want to make a quick conclusion.
Thank you so much, François. It's a lot of information to, listen and process. Yeah, it's like a crash course on Data Cloud. Okay. Anybody has any questions?
Don't hesitate. No dumb question. No. So let's say everything was clear.
I have one or two. That is okay.
Yeah, Emilia.
Yes, Emilia.
Hi, hello, François. Thank you for sharing information. I have a question regarding person accounts. Can you tell something more about the approach, how to handle this if we have the data in our CRM mainly focused on person accounts?
Well, the issue you will have is that a person account basically is an account in Salesforce. It is a one record, and so you need to make a different mapping than the standard one, which is created out of the box. And anyway, you won't have access to the consent, the standard consent. You will need to develop something. There are already things that have been spoken of. I've written an article on how to display the consent on the layouts. But anyway, this is never simple. And I can tell you really more about it. I can't tell you really more about it because personally, whenever I hear the words person account and Data Cloud together, I tend to say this is not the way I want to go to. I'm going to wait for this to be available out of the box instead of creating workarounds and then having to reverse them when the release includes them officially. Well, I think this is okay for today. I hope this was helpful and you've learned some things. Again, don't hesitate to communicate on Slack, on LinkedIn. I have some Medium articles you may wish to check as well. One is called Data Cloud Survival Guide, which is a summary of this information. So have a nice day, everyone, and I hope to see you soon.